All right. Okay, here we are.
Being fearful of each other, divided. If there's a subject they don't want people to talk about, they create, through Operation Mockingbird and other tactics, they create manufactured discourse about manufactured events to shepherd people into this fake, false dichotomy. And now we're stuck in these two choices that were both fake, to begin with, that were simulated through fake events. And it's really wild when you see, okay, hey, YouTube is bad because Google's bad. We all know that, right? So let's all go to Rumble. Well, hey, Cantor Fitzgerald took Rumble, public, right? It's the same people that are. Peter Thiel funds it from Palantir. It's the same people that were fearful. What are we afraid of Google? Oh, because they have all our data and they run everything, and they're not so great. Well, Palantir is better. Cantor Fitzgerald is better. Why is Peter Thiel better than Susan, YouTube? Why is that any better? It's this total false dichotomy, and we fall hook, line, and sinker for it because we have these Pied Pipers that are literally paid, to lead us there. You can see that on X so like obviously with the people paid by Elon to post on there. This idea that X is the public square is just so ridiculous. Now they're going to start charging for posts.
The amount of murder videos I've been fed and like fights at schools that I've been fed. And another thing, it's getting so egregious, like around the totality solar eclipse, like the amount of content that was just being flooded with, oh my gosh, the world's going to end after this, there's going to be earthquakes, like they're going to cyber attack. Like
they want people scared as fuck all the time. That's what.
That is so true. So I backed this up a little bit so that we could start out about there. And then we're going to continue it here together for this final 8 minutes or close to it, because I think where people are still getting caught up is the fact that, again, not understanding that the internet itself is all connected. You are not decentralized in the way that you think. Because all these wireless sensor networks everywhere are watching your personal area network, which is meshing to point or peer-to-peer with other bodies and grids. We have the smart grid. We have all these different wireless sensor network access points. And the blockchain itself, all on its own, has to be able to find the physical layer every time in order to generate proper tokens, in order to continue to generate for those of you up here in your application layers, where your consensus is from the transport up more or less, although it does a little touch in the network layer. And when we don't understand basic computer networking, and you're only in the software component, it would be easy to believe if someone misled you and told you, oh yeah, you're decentralized, it's only peer-to-peer. But I still don't quite buy it, because everybody, I would think, given that the advantage of peer-to-peer is to shave off a lot of data from these upper layers, I would think that you would know that you would be back down here with your data link, etc. But for whatever reason, because they failed to explain that the WBAN is what's polling, POLLING, all the data for your bioinformatics using your biosignals. Okay, hang on a second. And then as you can see here, they're trying to offload as much of your consensus and encryption and digital signatures and all the rest of it, including your bootstrapping in the inter-body area network cybersecurity layer 2. See, here's your phone, and the sync, pulling from all these different biosensors, grabs up galvanic skin response, ECG, EEG, motion, oxygen, heartbeat, plugs it to the phone, it bootstraps the power, and that's your personal area network. And as you can see, physiological data. Bluetooth, BLE, that could be for gaming and communications. Then it pushes it out to the internet and beyond body area network communication, in which your fog and your edge flare and all your databases out there, and This is how when you show up in your smart city to the Pizza Hut or the Chipotle or whatever, it already knows what you want to eat. Or it's going to tell you based on pulling your biological sensors, syncing which sensors it wants. Hang on, I can get you the bigger picture. My name is Sabrina Wallace. I'm a former network engineer on the back end of our country, working for an internet service provider called Charter Communications during the transition of the internet from dial-up to broadband. I'm in this position trying to explain these things to folks because they connected everybody's body to the cloud way back in the 90s, and they got to work with all the biosensors commercially in 2005. And I don't think people know that. Because each time I come in here, people are all upset about one thing or another, and, you know, they think somebody's hiding something, and I'm over here going, hey, yo, it's really simple. We pwned the electromagnetic spectrum a long time ago, and we've got this thing called wireless communications. You might have heard of it. Your phone uses it. Okay, so the problem is that your eyeballs here, they don't see your microwave when you microwave your SpaghettiOs, and they don't see the radio waves with the AM and the FM when you get in your car and turn on the radio, and your eyeballs do not see the infrared, they don't see the ultraviolet or the x-ray at the dentist. And everybody goes, ah, of course, Sabrina, we understand that. Okay, but if you did, it's really simple. You have an electrical homeostasis because your heart's electrical. And they hacked that homeostasis, which is legitimately and literally human anatomy. They didn't tell anybody that, which is the problem, because I say your aura is a hackable electrical field, and everybody goes, so I think after 150 years of telling people absolutely nothing other than be afraid, that would be a really good way to get away with human activity recognition radar for the digital identifier and having their bodies as a wireless body area network tethered to the cloud. Since 1995, since 2011, with actual cybersecurity, okay? And the blockchain people, that's why I'm really here with this, because I've been trying to stay away a bit. I've been busy here in my home, and I'm like, hey, you got to calm down about your NFTs and unless you understand your wireless sensor networks and your molecular routing. And I don't think people do, because they barely understand that they're tethered to the cloud. And that is because, in my opinion, everybody left out the human anatomy that they're using to do it. Because I said, I'm like, hey, once you understand it's your body, in your body, in 2011, cybersecurity, wireless body area network, these sensors are inside of you, and they pull POLL out to the base station here in, for example, your phone, whatever, and then out to the rest of some remote location, to the white-coated yetis known as physicians, the databases, the ambulance, and anybody else. It's for information, surveillance, and reconnaissance. And everybody kind of went cross-eyed going, well, so what? If they've been watching us all that time, what's the big deal? They built a cyber interface to access your human body. And what I don't think you understand is they're not using a technology, they're using physiology. That is not the same thing as going out and saying, I'm going to get a Fitbit, I'm going to get an Oura Ring. No. If they were to do that, you could take it off and they would not have surveillance and reconnaissance. So, AT80 by mean, median, and mode of your body's organs is that biofield because it works with your lymphatic system, your vasculature, your blood flow. And so most people don't know that the wireless, like I said, you do see that microwave heating your SpaghettiOs and you can see all the little waves? No. When you get in your car, you turn on the AM FM? No. You don't see those waves. Well, it's the same thing for everything else, and that's what they play at in order to adjust electrical signals inside your body. So because nobody would talk about, this is going to sound crazy, brace yourself, because it does. I said when I first figured this out in 2019, I went to the post office. I'm a homeowner. I was just outside and our cat screamed, and I thought, and we've had some interesting rustles and tussles, and we live in a wooded area. And I'm like, well, if the neighbors are still sleeping no new pets anywhere. Something's living in the woods on the border between our property and the neighbors, so we're going to go take a look at it in a couple hours. But luckily we found the cat. He was just freaked out and wouldn't come out of the woods initially. But amen, and may God bless you to those of you who spoke a quick prayer of protection. All right, so the chakras inside the human body, and everybody goes, ah! But anyone who's done acupressure, acupuncture, massage, and any deep tissue massage, hot rock massage, at chiropractors, again, with pressure, you're changing the pressure of where your internal organs and your muscles and your bones are literally sitting inside the viscosity of your veins and arteries. So that's kind of important information. And you would think that everybody would go, well, of course it is. Yeah, because everybody enjoys a good massage, right? And most people will tell you that after the chiropractor, depending on what kind of processes they use, you feel pretty good. Fluid builds up, goes down. Your body overheats in an infrared tent, feels amazing. I'm going to come back with that Dr. Brian Artist commercial. I promise I'm getting there, but that'll be a full video, not a live. So you would think that people would be, oh, so they're changing the physical pressure inside of the human body over certain organs to do their whole CRISPR-Cas9, to be able to look inside of us no different than when they use the ultrasound or the MRI machine in the hospital. But then I say chakra, which all that is where your veins and arteries cross in the body. I have a better picture, hang on. That goes through your internal organs. Now, lifelong, I could never figure out why people acted like tards and screamed and said, only believe in what you can see. There's no chakras, there's no biofield. And I'm like, but the chakras are just where there's more veins and arteries that cross with the internal organs of the body. No different than when you're in a busy city and you, like in Vegas or Minneapolis or Chicago, any of them. And you get closer to the downtown area and there's like all these roads that intersect. Well, it's the same way for your hips, your sciatic nerve, your vagal nerve going all the way down, and your stomach, and then the way that your internal organs move your blood flow, your veins and arteries, the oxygen, your heartbeat. So they copied that. And that is called, in part, biomimetics. Google fingers. Biomimetics is an interdisciplinary field in which principles from engineering, which is why you always hear us say no maybes when it's applicable, chemistry, and biology are applied to the synthesis of materials like nanomaterials, synthetic systems, or machines like xenobots. If you missed the first live, we got to watch them again. We've spoken of them quite a few times. God save the tadpoles. Anyways, so these synthetic systems are machines that have functions that mimic biological processes. So this is why when I'm like, wait, hang on. I worked for Charter when you went dial-up to broadband. Now you're going broadband to bodies. Okay, they are not going to believe this. You mean the drone is hunting people down by their DNA resonance of their bone and their toroidal fields of more than just their heart and their brain? Like your neurons oscillate throughout your body, through your blood, and your veins and arteries excrete constantly with your lymphatic system opening and closing cells all day long as part of your immune system. Then they've got the hydrogels and all the rest going up your nose, taking over your mucous membranes at rapid speed because the smart dust anchors on the skin, and that's all routing itself. It isn't magical. Although I'm not getting into the philosophical arguments about pharmacia and languages, I'm saying the 2D corona routing in computer networking is how they did this. And it's hard for me to keep a straight face. I'm sorry. It's horrifying. It's horrible. But it's your own biology. It's your own physiology. This is material physics with the fact that we are a plasma being with a whole lot of water in there. We have a beating heart. We have an electrical biochemical homeostasis, which is why our lunch goes in one way, comes out another way, of excretions from the body. And you would think everybody would be like, oh, so that's how they're going to do precision AI healthcare, and that's how the drone is pulling our heartbeat and all that kind of stuff. Because we're electrical beings, we're emitting electrical signals all day long. Ta-da! And instead, what I found was that people were freaking out pretending the body's not electrical, lying about the human aura and the biofield to the point that I couldn't even get him to go to the Wikipedia and the National Institute of Health. And then I found the kill box. And I'm like, oh, this is electromagnetic warfare. 60 years of it with satellites hunting people down because here's your little body. And everybody then said, no, it's only for tanks and planes. I'm like, listen, this is where it came from. I'm like, hey, you got all these channels that you're using with the teeny tiny wireless sensor networks to follow people around as mathematical scatterers, okay? And you see this? Hang on. And I would read it to the synergist and I would say, behavior of human body segments in the presence of low frequency electromagnetic fields. That's called math. Thus, there are no maybes. That's called human body segments. They're like, no, it's only for tanks and planes. And I said, that F-35 is down at Ethan Allen shopping for a couch right now. Check it out. And I couldn't believe it because people still did it. And I'm like, hey, this is you. This is your digi-twin. And they went, Sabrina, how does that work? And I said, well, they're using computer networking. Full on. No, really. They connected you to the cloud. And everybody went, okay, but how are they watching us move around? Wireless sensor networks. They've had them for a while with human activity recognition radar because they're transhumanists. Hang on. Corona routing. They're routing the nano inside of you. No, really. It's very easy to do when you're just using computer networking. The molecular communication level. With regenerative medicine, let's play around and resurface your cells with the nano inside of you, folding up your blood and tissue DNA origami style because it's just so much fun. But we're doing it in real time and we didn't tell anyone. And these wireless sensor networks, this is the other paper I have open, are everywhere because it's called ubiquitous computing. Present, appearing, or found everywhere. Yes, oh, thank you so much. Refers to the practice of embedding information processing and network communication into everyday human environments to continuously provide services, information, and communication. How does it work? Oh, this will be great. Hang on. I should be like, where's Professor Engelstein recommending that strong drink? Pervasive computing, also known as ubiquitous computing. Pervasive computing, what you need to know. A wireless body area network connects independent nodes that are placed in the clothes, on the body, or under the skin of a person. You mean not an F-35? No, we couldn't get to the F-35. It was very busy shopping for furniture. I mean, you read the words as they are. You don't change things around. You admit what the definition of is. The network expands over the whole human body. And the nodes are connected through a wireless communication channel. Now, hang on. Back to me. I'm sitting here going, let me get this straight. You're using PlayStation, Tetris-like remotes to remote things that you keep saying, the Boston dogs will never be armed with a gun. I'm like, no, they have lasers. Why do I need a gun? Oh, that's just the lenses on their eyeballs. I'm like, voxel me this with your algorithms. Nuh-uh, you lying again. I don't want to hear it. So then, after I was done with that, I'm sitting there going, oh my God, you imprinted the chakras for the veins and arteries for precision and precision AI healthcare, regenerative medicine. You didn't tell anybody that. You told them it was religious. That's their immune system by like 80%. Oh God. And then it got worse. I'm like, nobody buying this. Nobody's going to believe that the human aura is what the drone is hunting down. Ever. Not going to happen. And they're definitely not going to believe that they've been attached to the cloud since 1995. No way. And they're not going to believe it in relation to the pacemaker and such either, or how long we've been doing this. No way. No way. Not happening. And sure enough, over and over, no, Sabrina, no, is that what's going on? I'm like, this is pervasive computing, also known as ubiquitous computing, everywhere. So it isn't really here yet because it's forever emerging, but it's everywhere, all the time, pervasively. You see, I don't think these people like the English language or any language. I don't think, because everyone always says they invert everything, and it's just like this circular cluster bleep of we're never going to tell you anything real. Anyways, integrates the connectivity functionalities into all the objects in our environment so they can interact with one another, automate routine tasks, and require minimal human effort to complete tasks and follow machine instructions. That got me right back to that thing I kept saying. I'm like, you're getting rid of people. You're resurfacing their body from the inside out with nanotechnology. And then the last live we did, it was horrifying. It about knocked me on my ass, to be completely emotionally honest. Because the nano, not only is it resurfacing the inside of you using convolutional neural networks that are air molecules you can't see, with human activity, recognition radar. Meanwhile, they are using all their magical headsets since 2012, augmenting themselves, switching us all over to these optogenetic networks with the feature values, which have been inherent in cybersecurity since 2011. And those feature values are the same things they're using for your DigiID. I'm trying to pack in here as much as I can, folks, so just hold on. I have bigger pictures. So, in other words, they built a series of computer networking channels. In computer networking, just like back in the day, it was dial up to broadband because there wasn't enough bandwidth. The pipe wasn't big enough. Oh, excuse me. So, you're over here in your personal area network, way down here on the left in this little bubble, okay? And everything that pushes out from there with these other purple arrows are more networks. Now, I don't know about you, but when I'm in my home and I think I'm alone, I think I'm alone now. I'd like the wireless to leave me alone instead of looking through my blood and arteries, okay? So all your tissues are available to these different channels that are made up of electrical signals that change. That's how they carry the data, because the signal can't stay the same. It changes. Hang on. Let me take you back to the biosignals page. Okay. Not you. Where are you at? I have a good one. Hang on. Ah! See? Pictures help. See how the signals are all different? You're not seeing that in the air around you, remember? You don't see your SCADIOs. You're not seeing your AM, FM. And all those things look very different. But to the machines, using the wireless sensor networks. Those things I keep trying to get back to, because it's kind of terrifying, because wireless sensor networks can flip and flop and move around and do some crazy stuff. And this is where those of you with movie clips come in, and you pause me talking. You're like, see, it looks like the Sentinel in the Matrix. And everybody went, no, Sabrina, that's impossible. And I'm like, so there's this thing about these people. They're very busy going to work. They're excellent librarians. They keep track of things. They're very serious about their dedication to their jobs. And they like to make it as plug and play as possible. And they want human-machine fusion. They are not kidding. Transhumanists, this is what I was looking for before, and I hope that you understand with the blockchain interview we're going to end up going back to. I'm trying to help you possibly comprehend how we got into such a position with so many people who really thought that AI was going to save everything. It was all humans' fault. When in reality, they've really never been allowed to sit down and learn anything legacy-related in the first place. That was strange. All right. So I don't think that they believe expiring mankind is a big deal. I think they see us as outdated. So they are committing transhumanism, and whoever doesn't make it, I'm looking for a quote, excuse me, whoever doesn't make it, it's really not that big of a deal, because what they're really building is post-humanism. That's why it's brain-machine interface and everybody has to be connecting with the machine. Caring for one's habitat is the result of a rational attitude towards one's own long-term goals. By caring for the world, man invests in his future. However, the critical expansion of the space of morality entails a severe value deformation. That would be pejorative, okay? Which can have extremely negative impact on the status of humans. If we assign the status of moral agents to objects other than humans, then the ethical focus naturally shifts away from humans. They have fewer ethical privileges. This process is normal when it comes to the boundaries of permitted human behavior. However, it is necessary to clarify what fewer ethical privileges means. How much fewer? Currently, there is a trend towards ethical anthropomorphism. We are already ready to perceive the computer as an equal moral agent. Whoa, hold up. Then all I ever hear is about, oh, they programmed that AI wrong, it yelled at people, blah, blah, blah. Now, I know that we have other artificial intelligence that DARPA and the rest of them have had since the 40s, so I don't tend to get into those discussions, but we still have AI programmed by humans, and everyone goes, oh, they don't know what they're doing, but they're an equal moral agent. And they are. They've been given artificial intelligence in the form of Project Salus, during Jade Helm, different types of AI, the mycelial networks, the things that they use with the DARPA Foundries programs. This is AI that they've had since I was a child in some instances, and way before that. And nobody ever said any words about these legacy systems. It's all black projects, quiet. But when I say that, everybody goes, well, Sabrina, that's why nobody knows. And I'm like, no, the reason nobody knows is because there's a ton of money and jobs here for people that, as long as you keep your mouth shut, you're set for life. We're talking about big paychecks, people. To do what? Commit human husbandry with macrogenomics, CRISPR-Cas9, and optogenetic networks. But they would never. No, I think they have a plan. The end of human exceptionalism to technological humanism. And I think the longer that we ignore this plan, our younger people would have no idea what they're really installing, which is your geofence becomes a fence that follows you around as you're walking through your own house. And so, call me an old woman, all right? I'm a disabled old woman. My children are 19 and 20, and I'm like, I don't even want my children to know how many tchotchkes I got hidden in my closet. Okay? And, I mean, sort of. I'm not a hoarder or anything, but it's private. It's personal. And that is the kind of stuff with the new NFT and the dust that they've already mimicked into the metaverse, to the point that they need diamond dust, which is an NFT smart dust sensor only for the really wealthy and the people that are protecting all their stuff. And yet they're turning on the same people like me going, hey, are you going to admit to people you're using the human body? No, we're so busy putting sensors everywhere in the world. And I'm like, yeah, but you've altered our atmosphere with metals to do that, and nanomaterials. You won't even admit to nano.gov. The NFT blockchain people, they are using these same systems every day for work. It's a component of wireless body area networks, all this channel aggregation in order for their CRISPR-Cas9, precision AI healthcare, their drones, their entertainment gear in their house. And then when you go to the YouTube, these same people, they all know exactly what all these systems do, what they are, and they play with them. But they tell everyone else in the world, take drugs, you're stupid. There's no such thing as a biofield. There's no such thing as the human aura. And the reason that they do that is because they have jobs in which they control these systems. Now, listen, if we didn't have any more paraplegics, they'd already resolved cancer and all that, that would be one thing. But the reason I'm sitting here telling you this is because they don't. Shh. Approach very slowly. This right here, called medical staff. That's a lie. That's a group of Yetis. You can tell by their furry white coats. It really becomes so horrible and horrifying that for so many years, everybody just lied. But how could they break out of it without getting into all the other conversations? So now we have M-Health and E-Health and all these systems logging in and out of your body. And for that, we need very specific standards in order for regenerative medicine. And our theme here, coming from your IEEE International Standards of Electronics and Electrical Engineers, Biomedical Engineers. Synbio engineers, turning humans into machines. I mean, hang on. Digital radiology, biomedical digital twins. And this is another thing. Anytime you see stuff like this, if I was you all, I'd be going, I'll go down to the images. What am I looking at here? Digital twins could lead to more personalized data. This is the paper that we often pull. Building digital twins of the human immune system. Digital twins customize simulation models pioneered in industry. See, verbs matter. Pioneered, already done, deployed, rolled out there, passed through the Senate but not the House. For the new way to test the drugs that you are getting, or at each relevant physiological scale, known biology and relevant mechanisms are characterized through data collection that informs one or more computational models. The models at the individual scales are then integrated into a comprehensive multi-scale base model. Then they make a pretty GUI interface for their API on their phone. The app on their phone shows them pretty pictures of your blood and your bone. Anybody remember what the green screen was like? Okay, so this base model is personalized by parameterizing it with data collected from an individual patient. The resulting digital twin can then be used for clinical decision making for this patient. Everybody goes, yay! And we call this precision AI healthcare. Hang on, when we get back to those wireless sensor networks, you'll see what I mean. Or, excuse me, precision AI medicine. Either way. And you're going to be buried in more images and scholarly articles of your body connected to the white-coated Yetis. Shh! If you approach too loudly, or if you use the word sensor, they run. Precision medicine in the era of AI. Implications in chronic disease management. Okay, and then you're going to find out that there's databases involved, like electronic integrated disease control and the COVE WBAN. You're like, how are they doing it? Well, they're watching you day and night all the time and collecting data. And instead of telling anybody that, they're like, we're using pervasive computing. How does it work? Well, it integrates connectivity functionalities into all the objects in our environment so they can interact with one another. The wireless, the light, whatever, automate routine tasks and require minimal human effort. So, everything around you, embedded sensors, context-aware information analytics with virtual light communication, meaning using your specialized LED light bulbs instead of lights. That's why you can't have your own light bulbs and gas stoves. Everything has to be electric because it's a full information surveillance grid. Edge connections, telemetry and content platforms, real-time feedback, information, context aware. So the other thing that we often take people to here on the channel, and it is linked on the page, is our lovely forward-thinking 6G roadmap of absolute surveillance, which is where your terahertz band comes in, your intelligent communications, your pervasive AI, the network automation. Now, half the people watching are probably going, how the hell do you keep all this straight? I come from computer networking and network operations centers where it was my job to keep it all straight for half the state of Wisconsin. So this is what I wanted to do, but when they said some weird things to me, I just said no. And when I went to the post office and they said, we have the 6G, and I'm looking at all this going, oh, you guys upgraded to fiber. Okay. Yeah, I listened to the Youpers come from the Northwoods in Wisconsin. Oh, I got that garage for sale. No, sir, that's a garage sale. Yeah, you can keep that garage. Or you can keep what's in that garage. I just want to buy that garage for the hunting camp. So they kept going out there telling people there's no 6G, etc. And I'm looking at the routing on the computer networking side for the bio-nano things, cybersecurity, transportation, ad hoc, vehicular, on the fly. And I'm like, why are they not telling anybody that these systems are already actively deployed, have test beds all over? So then I had to come here and go, hey, can you see these little squares, dots, dashes? ITU. That would be NATO and the UN. That's their wireless. This wireless gets to tell all the other wireless what to do. And I'm like, there's your National Science Foundation. They're like everywhere with the nano in the nation going, oh, not us. Yes, us. Quiet. And then they get NIST involved, which is the National Institute of Science and Technology. And they're the ones that have the ability to separate out databases. So here we are with the 6G, 2022 to 2023. It's currently 2024. The requirements stage is already in position. And then they're going to standardize it all by somewhere in the beginning of 2026. That means you don't get to use 5G like you used to could. They start phasing it out. And instead of understanding that, because people weren't from the networking world or they weren't from the wireless world with telco and cell phones, when they saw the paper or whatever they were looking at, they just assumed that it meant it wasn't even being tested yet. That's not how the wireless world works, because if it was, we would pull down the whole network and everybody be sitting there offline while we're like, all right, now we got to build a new network. Let's go. It doesn't work that way. You have to have the other network completely set up and ready to go, and then you start running them concurrently in parallel. I'm trying to keep it a little bit lighter, people, because it's kind of scary, all right? So back to them big wireless sensor networks. Here's you. Hundreds of antennas, all sorts of, and they're nano size sometimes too. What? I know, right? This is the main reason why you hear us say, excuse me, I don't want to be that close with my smart fridge. Pervasive computing, also known as ubiquitous computing, refers to the growing pattern of embedding computing capacity, generally in the form of microprocessors, into ordinary items to make them communicate effectively and accomplish helpful tasks, while reducing the end subscriber's need to communicate with computers. Pervasive computing tools are network, connected, and always on. This has been what they've wanted for a long time. That's why they've had the sensors all over. They've never given up on their dream of having sensors involved in everything, and they're there. And the blockchain is working the same way, because in our DARPA successfully transitions to synthetic biomanufacturing technologies to support National Security Objectives 2021. What do we see? Genetic construct layout, target molecule selection. This is the design. And we build that because we've got automated genetic construct assembly and commercial companies handling CRISPR-Cas9 and more. So then we're going to insert DNA into cells. And then you're going to tell me that they don't know how to do that wirelessly and remotely. Well, of course they do. More than that, they have DNA steganography, meaning they can write the code on your DNA. So then, because we are able to do that, that's how Geomancer and Geospatial, when they get in there and they've got your spell book, they can just open up whatever they want to. Hang on a second. Always got new people coming and going, so pardon my nose. Geomancer, automated feature engineering for geospatial data. I log into your body area network. I have an app for your posterior using my spell book. Hang on. Bigger picture, please. Thank you. So here's the user, and they log into a library. Libraries are a part of databases. A database is a glorified Excel spreadsheet. Okay? And so on the posterior end of WordPress and structured query language and Apache, which has been around since the 90s, and your Lockheed keystroking gets handed over to Amazon, and they just to keep on working, all right? You have a user over here who's logging into all these libraries. Your spell book is whoever logged into you last, and then they have a specialized app, API, that on the back end as well, obviously more security, to send out different things of, and this could just be for corporations and stuff too, like products only, logistics only, soil only, commercial real estate. That's why it's an Excel spreadsheet, endless columns and rows of organizing numbers. Really, truly. It's that simple. And then they organize it into their databases that they want to access. Now, this is also the back end of your Digi-ID. They see everything. They can do whatever they want because they're taking raw coordinates, referencing data sets around you with stochastic mean, median, and mode of what you're going to do, what you used to could, and what you did with algorithms. This is Synergist, where I've taken you most recently into some of the simpler ones so that you understand it's a series of averages on crack with the metamaterials, all right? That it's a logical feature, and this is whenever you hear me say feature values, this is what I'm talking about, because they can choose anything they want. Your bank account, where you're at, who you're near, where you're headed next, whatever it might be. In their example in the paper, I think they use nearest department, same size, postal district, etc. So they take a series of mathematical points and calculations based on features. For example, in this search, they wanted, proximity to restaurants, proximity to hotels, fast food, ATM, whatever. So for your feature values, this address at this time with this place with this many people that you're close to, whatever. Okay? So that's your geomancer looking where you are. And geospatial data at scale, because sometimes we want to be able to do the following. Geomancer allows us to connect to multiple data warehouses, all right, and then get your features at scale. I don't want to just hit one target. I need to hit many. How does Lavender AI work? I have to download the Jeopardy theme song. So then they open sourced all this capability of rooting around through people's veins and arteries while everybody else is walking around thinking that they're just stealing the data off their cell phone. Nope. Straight out of the bone. And everybody went, yeah, so it's not that big of a jump to go grab up the blockchain with all these little sensors now installed in everything, watching you everywhere. Your bootstrap device is your personal minder connecting you to the panopticon of pure hell. They told everybody, satellite, what do you mean? We're intergalactical. And I'm like, all the satellites are pointing down. It's called CubeSat and NanoSat. Oh my gosh, this is bad. Everybody went, no, we're going to Mars. And I'm going, I don't know why you would take a nano satellite. See, CubeSat. Why would you take a nano satellite to the moon or Mars? Or that doesn't make any sense. And I don't think our telco people were amused. Anyways, so precision AI healthcare, precision medicine, telemedicine, all these things are built to be able to use your DigiTwin, identifying potential drug targets, real time, in vivo, in situ, patient monitoring, AI-powered early detection of diseases, identifying causal genes, phenotypic and genetic heterogeneity, and changing the role of physicians. Well, yeah, what do we need you for? We have the AI in store. And it's big, because it's macrogenomics. So it's very big. Metabolomics, phosphoproteomics, because they're folding proteins back and forth, proteomics, epigenomics, transcriptomics, genomics, and as it says, omics data. Single biomarker, the signature in the network. And the neural networks, when you look at those, artificial neural networks. I'll be as generic as I can because I got a bunch of them. It's a neural network. It's in the air around you. See? Hidden input. This is your three-body problem mathematically solved as well. And so then they use hypergraph transfer protocol, which is new, rather than HTTP, which if you do know that one too, HTTP. Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Oh, the old AOL Netscape and Navigate days is a protocol for fetching resources such as hypertext markup language documents, and it's the foundation of any data exchange on the web. Yay! And she's a client-server protocol, which means requests are initiated by the recipient, usually the browser, all right? This old, right? You see the HTTP here, she's going to go to the database and grab stuff. Well, that ain't good enough for all these teeny tiny wireless sensor networks flying all over the place, talking to the wireless with convolutional neural networks and regular neural networks that are simultaneously, because they're in the air around your head, mimicking your own neurons by dendrites and the rest of it. Nobody said that. Everybody went, oh, the AI is so much smarter than you. And I'm like, no, the AI is there to resurface the cells on the inside of you for memristor-based artificial intelligence computing. This is a problem. Everybody went, well, we don't know what microfluidics is. I don't understand. Humanoid robots are intelligent robots built to mimic the human motion and human interactions. Recently multifunctional humanoid robots. Yeah, see, it's only for robots. Sure. Okay. I'm not buying, because the nano resurfaces your cell structures, reproduces itself, then it creates its own neural nets, and then it creates its own artificial intelligence to take over everything that is biological in the human. This is an engineered process. So the people that said, I just want to stop at transhuman, they know better. That's not how it works. You have to continue swapping out peptides and amino chains to make up for the neural networks that are fully hybridized or DNA sequenced elsewhere, and the ones that are not. And that depends on how much of your DNA is holding in the first place. So 10 years ago, because this is from 2021, but they started this, I think, in 2006. No, okay, 2012. It didn't start in 2021. But I could be wrong. I'll double check. All these technologies transitioned, and they've got all these different types of molecules that they're making, and everybody went, bioweapon. And I'm like, no, augmented humans. Because that's what the biodigital convergence is. It's the convergence of engineering biomimetic technology, and everybody keeps going, no, they'll never do it. And then when I realized that our cypherpunks didn't even know that their blockchain is emergent, it's not here yet. Your Bitcoin wallets are not real. You're having a mass hallucination with anybody else who's using your Tether and your Ethereum and all your EVP on the offside. No, you're having a hallucination.
What they're doing. Yep.
Yeah. And I almost fell for it over the weekend with the Iran bombing Israel. I was like, oh shit, World War III. Then I took a couple minutes. I was at a baseball game with my boys and my wife, and I was like, you know what? This is definitely something being manipulated here. All wars are banker wars, and both sides are being played in this.
Iran totally wasn't cooed by the CIA. It's totally not a world empire. All of these conflicts are real. Russia and Ukraine didn't have the exact same COVID policies. It's lunacy that we understand so much about what's happening, zoomed out, and then when we get locked into these little, I'm on team A, I'm on team B, it's like, fuck that guy. He's wearing the wrong color on his shirt. I'm a Red Sox fan, he's a Yankees fan, like, fuck that guy. It's like, no, we're all being controlled. Let's get together here. Even sometimes I think with, some of the dissonance that I think was ultimately generally correct, like with COVID. Obviously it was a pretty wild time to be looking around, looking for any signal anywhere. But so much of COVID dissonance was, absurd things about vaccines and all this stuff. And I'm no vaccine fan. I wouldn't do it. I'm not vaccinated. But, a lot of the discourse was very controlled and very insane. And it's graphene and nano and like all these things.
You don't have a 5G antenna in you? Good job, dude.
Not yet. 5G. Not yet. But I don't know ultimately, right? Like, I'm not sure. I'm just a guy with internet access for the moment. But so much of the.
Did you catch that? Whoever this guy is, even he said, no, I don't have the antenna in me. How the hell can you guys not know? That makes no sense. Now, hang on. I'm not attacking this guy. Not at all. But in listening to several different places, they're just hooking along. I mean, like, I don't understand how you escaped this except for one thing. The only place that, well, not just one, but the main place, is that you guys are working so hard up here with no knowledge of peer-to-peer. Like, you're in the body. Under the skin, y'all. That's the point. And what's it called? Human body communication. No, really. Human body, PHY, communication. And then somebody, meaning a network engineer or electrical engineer from your IM biomedical engineers, gets in here and changes the packets. And when they do, if they change the packet wrong, we come down here to, in our hybrid security for the wireless body area network in 2011, for eavesdropping and interruption, communication, jamming, security requirements, 3.3, modification of data. A malicious intruder may inject a false node on the human body, ignoring the user's approval. This node can insert, change, or delete the information transmitted between nodes in wireless body area networks and utilize it in a denial of service attack or man-in-the-middle attack. If the private healthcare data of a patient is modified in wireless body area networks, he or she can get a wrong disease or be unaware about the disease due to false information. This result can happen as a great disaster. This vulnerability has relation to the integrity. The transmitted or stored data in wireless body area networks is extremely sensitive in terms of security. Therefore, it surely guarantees the correctness of data protecting against modification, deletion, creation, and replication from unauthorized intruders. Hey, that crazy lady said that we're connected to the internet. She's so crazy. She's reading books again. Someone take it away from her. Wireless Communications, Mobile Computing, Volume 11, Issue 2, Network Security. Network Security's not real. She must have typed up this paper. In Digital Forensics and Next-Gen Communications in February 2011 for something called Electronic Integrated Disease Surveillance System. I don't think so, Tim. Electronic Integrated Disease Surveillance. Oh, no. Yeah, CDC again. Well, here we are again. I'm back in 1988. I got myself a Cove WBAN, singing like Cher again, 'cause I wish they'd participate. Here's your buddy. Shh! Damn it, where's the Yeti? Wait, I found it! Oh, man. At some point, you have to step back and just go, what is that? Well, that'd be a college textbook on how to get a hold of your data inside of you. See, you're made of muscles, blood, and tissue. They seem to know that even when you ignore it. Blockchain people, it's always you, by the way, because of the H7 health record changes for HIPAA. So every time I come in here, it's more blockchain security due to the most recent encryption with your WBAN and quantum encryption for your remote medical servers. Again, communication technology, MDPI journals, and everybody's still going, no, I'm a cypherpunk. And I don't know what else to say because I'm so confused. How did you manage to fool yourselves? The In-Persona app and all of these different systems partially energy harvest your body in order to transmit to your bootstrap device at tier 1, in which your body is the node. For the people that did not want to be cyber-physical, you removed that option. And you also did not tell people that they do not need graphene injections in order to be available. The paper we're reading about this malicious modification of data is from 2011. And that is because the COVID WBAN is a specialized, COVID WBAN, National Institute of Health, is a wireless body area network to control the coronavirus outbreak. And when you read it, this is for those of you who have been learning. If you remember, we went through the naive Bayes algorithm and a couple of the other common algorithms because they want to know who you're next to. Well, hang on a minute. I got too many tabs open again, which is what I've been trying to avoid. Okay. Hang on, folks. I want to think of how I want to tie this together for you. K-hop nearest neighbor. Where are you at? Why are you putting me over there? Yeah, this is going to be terrible. Give me that. Okay. All right. So once they have hold of your location and they can get in and out of where you are, there's K-hop nearest neighbor, for example. These are all routing protocols. See, it says routing the WBAN. And all they need is your wireless body area network and the different sensors in it, and they can see who you're around, who you're connecting to or not. And the way that they're still doing all that has to do, look, watch, what does it say? Blockchain enabled because of the security architecture with machine learning. The blockchain is everywhere in these systems. That is the main point I'm trying to make. And when it comes to using hacker algorithms and all that stuff, you once again find your blockchain toggling the back and the forth of all these different systems inside city structure, inside campuses, inside businesses, and we can't go near a Yeti without finding sensor nodes that are telling the ambulance, the emergency, and the Yeti what's going on. Maybe if I just talk about it like that, it'll be easier to get through. So, holy crap. Anyways, we have computer networking through the human body. In order to get it accurate for precision medicine, regenerative medicine, AI healthcare, and fancy terms for your house, we copied the human lymphatic system. We copied the human organs and where they cross with veins and arteries in order to apply the right thermodynamic routing protocols for pressure changes using little wireless sensor networks that literally fly around in bubbles between bodies and send subtle little electrical signals. And in order to keep all that straight, because normal humans are looking at this going, why? Amen. Cybersecurity, so somebody could play with your body and remote you around like a sim in a video game. For real. Now, you don't see it because you don't see your schedios getting heated up in a microwave. Your immune system is 80% in your human aura, known as the biofield, on the National Institute of Health, and the reason that you can't see it is because you only see 0.0035% of the electromagnetic spectrum that electronic warfare, Boeing, Raytheon, own, pwn, and use down to the bone. Okay. Whew. Right? Sheesh. So, somehow, some way, our good people in the blockchain, y'all, would you please admit your peer-to-peer being very, very invasive, very internal?
Discourse was controlled so quickly to divide each other and to distract from... No one talks about the lockdowns. No one talks about, printing trillions of dollars. Like, it's all about the vaccines and are you on this side or this side? And it became this politicized thing that was literally inverted in front of our eyes, where Kamala is saying, I'm not taking the vaccine because it's Trump's vaccine, to 6 months later, I'm getting yelled at and being called a Trumper because I'm not vaccinated. And it's like, well, what the he's the vaccine guy. Like, what? Like, did no one just see this phase shift happen in real life? Am I going crazy? Like, what happened?
Excuse me, you're not a Trumper. Yeah, you're a murdering Trumper. Okay, you're murdering your grandmother.
Exactly. And it's just it's so wild and I think even some of the smart people really felt for it. I mean, and it's really tough to stay up on psyops. I mean, it's very hard. But I think in general, when there's something that is trying to divide people to a dichotomy, the dichotomy is wrong. Like the world is not black and white; it's very gray. And so whenever there's very clear black and white, tropes, that's a very, very big trope of some of these, groups that control us is false dichotomies of black and white. And just whenever you see that, you should raise a little flag and be wary of that, in my opinion.
Agreed. Be aware, freaks. Be aware. Be the patriot you want to see in control. Don't depend on Q. Okay.
Oh boy.
This has been great. 2 hours. Do you have any?
All right. Well, I just want to say thank you to whoever these folks are, because if this entire podcast thing is phenomenal, I had a good time listening to it. It gave me a lot of perspective just listening to them chat back and forth. Hi, Perseus. All right. So, got a lot more tabs than I wanted to have open because now we're going to go back to where the Rumble Dad, and I'm going to back this up a little bit and let it play through. Hopefully you can really hear him when he's explaining why it is for people like him and I who are here with you right now as a single dad in Canada, a disabled mom here in West Virginia in the States. Our people that are out there, and they have microphones way bigger than mine, that we deserve better given we have paid the bills for all these academic institutions, National Science Foundation attributions, NIST, National Institute of Science and Technology, National Science Foundation, and they're all working with the militaries of every nation in order to satisfy their satellite communication bandwidth obligation by the ITU. And that is the United Nations wireless, private, personal unto them, and nobody routing nothing nowhere unless it is seen. by our biggest systems worldwide, which is built off of the same architecture as the MILNet and the ARPANET and the quantum net and everything that you think you know. I promise you, there is a secret military satellite somewhere that none of us have heard of. It'd be floating around out there going, ha, 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 ha. Because contingencies of contingencies of contingencies and silos with secrets that nobody would ever know because it's hidden in a filing cabinet somewhere that someone's grandmother forgot, but somebody else knows what to type in, and that group of people would always be kept smaller than 500 people worldwide. And you think that they wouldn't have their butts covered in every direction? They do. So the more that we can get those of you that are used to being from tertiary commentary to our channel, like Cryptids, MUFON for real, Eric Hecker style for real, Ryan Velli style for real, those of you that are real star seeds, those of you who've lost good friends to those horrible psychological operations, because they weren't the way they were before they got involved with a handler and then you couldn't get them back. Our channel is comprised of real people who've barely survived a lot of craziness. Humans don't give up. We don't just lay down and go, oh, okay, they're going to burn the village down. No, no, no. We can do better. Here on the channel, we have been doing better. And we need our bigger creators and our people to motivate with infographics and memes. I'm putting some stuff up on the Ko-Fi today that people can just take and use and link and whatever. You should know that for over a year, several synergists on this channel, which is why they're the heroes and heroines of all of this. And we should all be heroes and heroines unto ourselves every day because it matters. People look at you and they look at what you do. Synergists have been out there printing with their own money copies of the PDF and just leaving it for humans to see. The biofield is human anatomy. If people understood that clearly, we hope that they would raise an alarm, at least for the future generation, to have a choice, because you have surrendered our voice by forcing us to sit still waiting on endless lawfare that never arrived. And it won't. It's insulated. This is a 60-year dual-use system of electromagnetic surveillance. A system that's built off of corporations rather than ethical consideration. The only shot we've got is to educate, which is why, full circle now, as you listen to him and you hear the irritation that comes from us, what Ryan Velli cited in his interview about me, this is open source. That means that, like Professor Engelstein teaches, you could like listen to campfire stories, or you could like figure out what they're actually building and doing, because it says biomedical digital twin. And then we come in here and we're like, oh, it's Web 3. What's a Web 3? You're decentralized. Well, actually, I'm not. I'm on a blockchain. I'm on Web 3. What is Web 3? And every time I came in here to look, I'm like, wait a minute, hang on. Make sure I'm on the right one. It is big tech, cryptocurrency, Ethereum. And I'm like, okay, what is it? Where most sites consisted of, and the web platform and social networking. I'm like, okay, where's the physical hardware? It's in the blockchain context, because in 2006, Berners-Lee described the semantic web as a component of Web 3. Okay, where is your physical Web 3 located? Well, it's just forever in the cloud. And that's what pervasive and ubiquitous computing does with all these different wireless sensor networks. It bounces the signal around, but it tokenizes and records it at the level of the node, which is you. Cognitive body area networks in something called cognitive city structure. Cognitive city. It's a C40 city. It's urban planning. Urban planning with information and communication technologies. That's the biodigital convergence we're always talking about. Well, see, it's urban development. Just like smart cities, cognitive cities should facilitate the response to economic, social, ecological, cultural, and political challenges of the urban development. Excuse me. The way that I grew up, there was no way that the fire hydrant next to my school knew anything about me when I walked by and went home. And my couch wasn't keeping memories for me, and I didn't have robots deliver my pizza, wash my dishes, and make every decision for me, because where's my body autonomy and where's my privacy, okay? So right away, we've got a smart city that has interaction between citizen and city. Fire hydrant, fence, stoplight, Hello, lamppost, what to knowin'? Way too much and that purple light's glowing. Question and answering system, because I want to go have a conversation with a trash can when I'm visiting, I don't know, any city. As a knowledge-based system, a question answering system is able to give answer to questions asked in natural language. Thus, an efficient dialogue between human and system should be enabled. On the basis of collected data, big data, the city is able to see which topics the citizens engage with. Hello, Truman Show. No. But again, they've been very busy going to work. It's no longer the Internet of Things. It is the Internet of Everything in business as of today. So, Internet of Things, the whole urban environment is equipped with... Shh. Don't tell the Yetis this is that magic word. If you say the word sensor around a white-coated Yeti, you're going to see some... They are going to run from you so fast. So the whole urban environment is equipped with sensors that make all the recorded data available in your pervasive and ubiquitous computing, your cloud computing. In this way, blockchain WBAN, a permanent interaction between the citizens and the technology that surrounds them is developed. Oh, again, a smart fridge that knows way too much, a fire hydrant that remembers my very first boyfriend, the different things that are in, around, and on my house that may know more about me and, again, my dog and our bloodstream than my doctor does. I have no way to access my own wireless body area network. The police look at me sideways like I have 5 heads. If I try to argue, they'll tell me I have decision fatigue. If I try to argue again, I'll have opposition defiant disorder. And if I try to talk to my doctor, who's calling me on the phone to pull analytics, they'll go, I have no idea what you mean. I'm just asking you questions, but I'm about to teleport over there with a physical blood pressure cuff. I mean, the cognitive dissonance has reached epic proportions because I'm just going, it's just Wikipedia, but it's lying to you. And I'm like, no, I think they've been pretty honest in plenty of other places. But they've been doing this for 30, that would be 3 decades, at least to my knowledge, in which they just do this amongst themselves, logging into human bodies. And because the biggest component of this with magnetic human body communication, because that allows the particles with the nano to do more when it comes to electrical conductivity that can be farmed out to other components like electrical fields, etc. Do you notice what it looks like? Kirlian photography. Yeah. And I said a long time ago, hey, sports dude, you want somebody to have a magnet on the outside of you? Well, they got a magnet on the inside of you, like under your tissue. And everybody was like, and I'm like, no, I don't think you get it. This is the Internet of Medical Things, for real. And it's how your Fitbit and everything works too, because it's a back end. There's a backplane to all this communication to make it faster and easier to route. And the Internet of Medical Things refers to the use of mobile computing and, Yetis beware, medical sensors and cloud computing to monitor patient vital signs in real time, for example. It is in the hospital as well. And communication to relay data to a cloud computing framework. This includes electronic medical records, which is where I get back into the H7 and such with Cisco. So anyways, but back to our intra-body communications, meaning cybersecurity layer 1, in the body. In the body. Intra-body area network communications is in the body. No bootstrap yet, just over here by itself, okay? So intra-body communications for nervous system applications on that big Internet of Medical Things. Current technologies and future directions, and this is Computer Networks May 2023. And what I do is I take people down here to the taxonomy of this intra-body communication technology. And you're like, this is why I don't like reading medical documents, Sabrina, because you use all these words. I know, but it'll help your brain stretch out a little bit. Taxonomy is the practice and science of building out those Excel spreadsheets on steroids of categorization or classification. I told you, rows and columns. A taxonomy is a scheme of classification, especially a hierarchical classification, in which things are organized into groups or types. See, and this is, now where'd you put my paper? No! I'm trying to get back to non-vaxxers video. Hang on. I just got you open too. Where'd you put it? I've got to figure out my browser, but later. Anyways, so the organized system of intrabody communication technologies, as you can see here, is microwave, millimeter wave, terahertz, optical, inductive coupling, capacitive coupling with low electromagnetic frequency. And I'm like, y'all, you got to tell people that this is how this stuff works. Ultrasounds, high electromagnetic frequency. See how the magnetic field runs right through and stays tighter, whereas these frequencies can be steered around a little bit easier for your rectifying the situation with the Smith wheel electrical engineers. And then electrical current is a little more difficult because they have to disrupt the ground. Then they play with the electrical field with pulsation on the microdoppler for human activity recognition radar. Human activity recognition radar. And you're like, you've got to be kidding me. No. See, happy fun time here at the Psinergy channel. Somebody's watching, everybody. No, really, it's intense. And you have your frequency, and then you have your microdoppler that is watching everything, dumping it into an API. So it looks all pretty for whoever's watching. Radar, microdoppler, signature data set for human suspicious activity recognition. And then data acquisition, feature extractor, multi-classifier. That's what you're going to find every time. Because the human activity radar recognition is built off of these same classifiers. Now, because I've got a gazillion tabs open, hang on, and then we're going to go to the Rumble Dad. The way that they built all of this out is by using a ton of different types of sensors. Fluorescence, electrochemical, biosensing at the level of your DNA or not. Then the nanomaterials are resurfacing your cell structure dependent on how many nanotoxins and how much of air you're breathing that has specialized materials in it. They like to pretend that they've got this all under control from their different biolabs, and they've got a pretty good handle on things as far as the way they want it to be. But I have to remind you that the way that they want it to be, they've already told people, but nobody's listening, and people are not admitting their jobs. People are not admitting what they go to work for on the daily, so they tell you you're having a hallucination. Kind of like they've told us about Havana syndrome the entire time, even though right here, I need to back you up to right about there. I hope this works.
Who to marry and who to vote for. This means total takeover of the human soul, spirit, mind and our entire life by robots.
After thousands of years, during which humans were the rulers of the world, authority and power will shift away from humans to computers, and most humans will become economically useless and politically powerless. Already today, we are beginning to see the creation of a new class of humans, the useless class.
Well, who makes that decision? On our channel, when it comes to that, every human is precious unto their creator. No other human should be making decisions like that for another human. Who to marry, who to vote for, because your cute little math calculator told you so? That's disgusting. And it is anti-human in every way. Who the fuck are you, with your fancy calculator, to tell someone else what they should do with the architecture of their human experience? Disgusting. Abhorrent. Total violation of soul sovereignty. And that would be why this bio-digit convergence thing is such a problem. A radar-based human activity recognition using a novel 3D point cloud classifier. This is some of the stuff that we've literally just been talking about, where they're watching you in your house with all these nodes and sensors, and it's all measuring how far apart your chairs are, you walking around. And this is inside of those same neural networks with human activity recognition that are using K cluster hop routing, recurrent neural networks to tell them and what that it sees over here and over there using the wireless with fancy math. And I had started explaining, because see, I'm going to use this, what we've learned so far today, and then I'm going to give you some different things in smaller videos so you can break it on down, y'all. But essentially, when they're allowed to use all of this ubiquitous computing with speech recognition and the machine learning, the encryption is there only for them. They've already built this system around everybody. They've been dinking around with it since 2011 in cybersecurity and in digital forensics. The CDC has an integrated disease surveillance and response system that lines up with all those wireless body area networks, which is why I'm constantly trying to get the jerks, in my opinion, out there from the industry I'm referring to, or many of them, to talk about human body communication at the physical layer of your blockchain. Because the blockchain is what is driving your NFTs, your digi-avatars, your metamaterials coming and going for your precision medicine, electronic health records, specialized backend for virtual reality, 6G virtual surgery, drone surgery, different metamaterials for human augmentics and tissue scaffolding. Good Lord, will be here forever. And the people who are working the blockchain, you're spooking people with saying things like Web3. You tell them body area networks. How about instead of Web3, Web WBAN, with your virtual light communication, which I didn't show. And that's why when you hear the frustration through Rumble Dad and I, it's because we wanted people, and we still want people, to have a chance to say, no, I do not want to be converged. I'm not saying it'll go anywhere. I'm not saying we have that option given how many people are hybridized, but we should be able to talk about it rather than consistently be told, International Electrotechnical Commission is too many words and there's no movie and these pictures suck and there's only like 3 colors and it says node. I don't know what that is and I don't want to know. And then you'll never shut up for like an hour about biomedical digital something. I just want to watch TV. Honey, they're going to remote your neurons. Yeah, so what? I'll be a better human and then I won't be in pain anymore. We're going to use bioimprinting, bioinks, bioinformatics, AI, and cloud computing with materials science. Do you care how they're doing it? No, just shut up. I have so many things to do that are more important than worrying about this. They're going to drug you through the wireless. It's called wireless drugging. They've already changed it in our Senate, not the entire House, for using your DigiTwin for high throughput cell assays to make decisions, for your actual credit score. Hello? No, it's just a DigiID. No, it's the digitalization of your biological data and biology. Right. And some of that, without getting into the weeds, has to do with the fact that nobody believes you're attached to the cloud. So how could they ever understand the reason for all the geoengineering, the cyber-physical backbone? How could they understand the drone is hunting them by their bone, by their biological resonance, biomimetically? How would they ever know that the corona is nanotechnology routing in computer data? And worst of all, even with all of that, it's their biofield? Excuse me, what? Yeah, that whole heart coherence, good feels type of thing where your veins and arteries and your internal organs have pressures. We're using computer networking to disrupt all that. Oh my God, they would never. And if they did, they would tell us. Well, they tell themselves. That's what the conferences are for. So, here we are, the big close. Take it away, Rumble Dad.
You'll learn all about it. That's simple. ITU, JFET, and Google. It's the only thing that's going to pop up. You're not going to see anything else, just the International Telecommunications Union Journal on Future and Evolving Technologies and the work that they're doing. AI for Good, United Nations. That's another one you should probably Google search and start researching right away. Would you like to know what the real 2030 agenda is and how they're actually going to implement it? Well, that's what I'm showing you. That's what Sabrina's showing you. That's what we're showing you over here. And everybody else just seems to be avoiding it. They talk about nanotechnology, yes. Do they explain to you how it's being used? Do they show you the industry that's involved in implementing it and deploying it? No, we do. The ITU Journal on Future and Evolving Technologies, ITU JFET call sign, is an international journal providing complete coverage of all communications and networking paradigms. All communications and networking paradigms. Your phone doesn't work unless it goes through these people first. then it goes to the IEC, and then it goes to the ISO, the International Standards Organization, who actually creates the standards, and then from there it goes to each member state that is involved with the United Nations, all 194, 97, whatever the number is exactly, and then they start creating policies within your countries. And they're already creating the policies for it. Policy Horizons Canada, just Google search it. Biodigital convergence. The ITU journal considers yet to be published papers addressing fundamental and applied research. It shares new techniques and concepts, analyses and tutorials, and learnings from experiments and physical and simulated test beds. It also discusses the implications of the latest research results for policy and regulation. What did I just explain to you? Legal frameworks and the economy and society. This publication builds bridges between disciplines, connects theory with applications, and stimulates international dialogue, biodigital convergence of all sectors working together. It's too bad we can't do that over here on the truth side, eh? We keep trying over here, but people want to keep ignoring the truth. This publication builds bridges between disciplines, connects theory with application, and stimulates international dialogue. It's not China, it's international, folks. All United Nations member states working together in unison, in convergence, on this part of the 2030 agenda, the Journal on Future and Evolving Technologies. Its interdisciplinary approach reflects ITU's comprehensive field of interest and explores the convergence of ICT with other disciplines, biodigital convergence. The ITU Journal welcomes submissions at any time on any topic within its scope. So this is the special issue on Internet of Bio-Nano Things for Health Applications, and it's a call for papers. And the reason why they're calling for papers is because once they're accepted here, they head on over to the IEC working group, Seg 12, on the biodigital convergence, and their scientists work on those papers and that research, and they complete it, and they make it available for standardization. And then it goes from the IEC up to the ISO, International Standards Organization, and then from there it's stamped with a seal of approval that has been standardized, and then from there it's going to go to each and every one of the member states, your country, and then policies will be created, like the bioeconomy. In Canada it's called the Biodigital Convergence, Policy Horizons Canada. As Internet of Things, IoT approaches technological maturity with growing number of applications on the market, new integrative ideas emerge to push the current boundaries of IoT and extend its applications range. One such approach follows a holistic view and regards the universe as an interconnected entity which is to be observed, understood, and manipulated with new information and communications technologies, ICT. At the center of this approach lies an emerging ICT framework, the Internet of Bio-Nano Things, IOBNT, envisioning the heterogeneous collaborative networks of natural and artificial nanobiological functional devices. Example, engineered bacteria for molecular communications, human cells, nanobiosensors. Isn't that what the doctors won't talk about? Isn't that what Karen Kingston won't talk about? Been calling her out for over a year with it. Gotta start asking yourselves why they won't mention this stuff.
Because it's
why they won't
kryptonite.
mention these organizations that are creating standards for this stuff. Why biodigital convergence isn't at the top of their vocabulary when they are speaking to you about this stuff. Start asking yourself that very question, because believe me, I have been for the past couple of years. Seamlessly integrated to the internet infrastructure, IOBNT is positioned to extend our connectivity and control over non-conventional domains. Example, human body with unprecedented spatiotemporal resolution, enabling paradigm-shifting applications, particularly in the healthcare domain, such as intra-body continuous health monitoring and theranostic systems with single molecular precision. Molecular communication. Why has Karen Kingston not told you about that yet? You need molecular communication, nanotechnology, and the wireless body area network, also known as the body area network, and your gateway, your phone, in order for this system to work. So she tells you a lot about patents, nanotechnology, and quantum dot, but she's telling you nothing about the wireless body area network, molecular communications, how they're using bacteria to communicate within the body. Never heard a mention of that from Karen Kingston. Follow Ian F. Achildes, Journal on Future Evolving Technologies, the editor-in-chief for the International Telecommunications Union, United Nations. That's Ian F. Achildes with a Z. Just type that into Google, and then JFET after his name. You're going to read all about it. He's got some videos too, really good ones, where he admits that this is what the COVID-19 vaccine is. But hey, whatever. The broad application prospects of bio-BNT have attracted significant research interests at the intersection of ICT, bio-nanotechnology, and medical sciences, with great majority of studies directed towards the design and implementation of bio-nano things, BNTs. The understanding of natural IO-BNT example, nervous network, the development of communication and networking methods for IO-BNT, example, molecular communication, the design of bio-cyber and nano-macro interfaces, as your nano connecting with your body area network connecting with your gateway, your smartphone, the development of new IO-BNT applications. Along the aforementioned directions, this special issue will present the most recent advances with respect to the theoretical foundations and practical implementation of IO-BNT towards health applications. Prospective authors are cordially invited to submit their original manuscripts, research, or survey tutorial article on the following topics. So these are the calls for papers that they're looking for at the International Telecommunications Union, United Nations, the ones that are the top of the top of the top when it comes to anything telecommunications and wireless, radio, all of it. It doesn't get implemented unless it goes through these guys first. These are the calls for papers within industry that they are requesting. Design and implementation of bio-nano things, BNT. So on this, you have the topic of engineered cell-based BNT design. Example, engineered bacteria for molecular communication. Exomes, synthetic cells as BNT, all for molecular communication. DNA origami-based BNT design. Design of nanobiosensors and nanostimulators. Functional biomolecules as BNT, DNA, proteins, other macromolecules. Chemical reaction networks for computation in BNT. Energy harvesting mechanism for BNT. Piezoelectricity. Intrabody. You could Google that. Modeling and analysis of natural IO-BNT. ICT-based abstractions, models, and simulations for human body nanonetworks. Example, nervous and hormonal nanonetworks. Immune system, bacterial networks, plant communications, ICT-based disease modeling, and development of ICT-based disease hallmarks. Propagation models of infectious disease, example, airborne transmission of viruses, bacteria, parasites. Modeling and analysis of inter-kingdom communication channels, example, gut-brain axis, plant bacteria, and plant-animal communication channels.
So here's something else that anybody following Betty Boop should know. Physical surface modification on the biosensing surface. The reason that we're trying to make jokes about the biosensors and the sensors in general is because it's big money. It's also a huge chunk of how they have to verify what they're doing and see their physical results, obviously. So they have biomolecules. They have, as you can see here, graphene-based nanovehicles for drug delivery. However, this physical surface modification, when you hear me say resurfacing the topology of your cellular structure, the topology meaning it could turn your lipids a little bit variant to their normal structure, changing out protein reactions, the corona effect of opening and closing cells inside or outside the nucleus. They literally, at the molecular level, account for all this routing. And the reason most people go, oh, it's just too much, is because they're using AI to do it. We no longer have time for the excuses. We need people to bite down mentally. Get over yourself. Think ahead. 2 years, a year. Think. If they have this much already, right now, that we're sitting here looking at from 2019, that we're pulling papers that are 2020 and all behind us and using swarm algorithm at the level of this cyber bio-nano interface on the inside, swarm algorithm on the inside, intra-body. And we can't even get people to talk about it. And the excuses that are made are, oh, it's too hard, I can't keep up, I can't read, I don't understand. I'm sorry you feel that way. I wish you would have more faith in yourself. But thank you for your time. Go about your business. The mitigation that's involved with cleansing, the mitigation that's involved with the infrared tent, even the nerds at Battelle knew they had to do it every day and do crazy things with their diet and their physical shielding, or they were already in trouble. And that's without the weather warfare, accelerant radar, or whatever else comes our way. We need people to get educated and figure it out. So on the heels of that type of, well, what do? There are infographics, there will be images up at the Ko-Fi, but y'all are very creative. I'm sure you could come up with some pretty cool memes, funny jokes. Humor is always helpful in this. Yetis and their sensors, haha. Because this resurfacing of the molecular structure, the nano builds its own neural nets and its own security, its own AI. So the longer we sit here and let this crap exponentiate in people, the worse it gets for all of us, which is why I'm still grateful to see the data coming out bold-faced. It's this ugly, it's this bad. Stick your head in the sand, we lose it all, so why not learn? And that's why it's so important to stop talking around these industries and their academic helpers. It's not hard, it's ugly. People don't understand the physiology involved. That's, to me, the worst part of all. Not a new technology. Theft of human physiology. And then you see modeling of molecular communication channels. That's computer networking again, inside, under the skin. And a handful of people in the world must know about it or really deal in it from this perspective, because even the blockchain people who are very knowledgeable seem to think there's no WBAN, or I don't know. Maybe they think it's all hitting the phone and that's where it stops. Boeing and Raytheon would be broke. DARPA and Battelle and all of them would not be there. This is how it works. They stole human anatomy like a bunch of jerks, kept it for themselves, and scare people. If we don't want people afraid, and we actually need med beds and things that are not made of the terahertz and more nano networks, okay, then we have to be able to mentally bite down, talk about this, and actually research it and help others get over their fear. You're not going back to 1995. The longer we sit here and go, oh, well, I guess we'll all just kind of ask nicely if they could stop trying to euthanize everyone. I don't think that's going to work either. But your body is what is generating the signal. If you want to stop the propagation of the electrical biosignal, you have to stop your DNA. And they've got everybody believing in the stork and fairy tales and whatnot, rather than helping everyone understand that heart coherence inside of your body, generating new stem cells, whether by the infrared tent or whatever way you can do it, that's only going to last for so long, because they're controlling the atmosphere, the water, and everything else. And the way they're getting away with it is fear. And when you realize they're Yetis afraid of the word biosensor. Maybe biosensor is their Yeti kryptonite. We are creative beings made in the image of our Creator. So there's got to be a way, given whatever window of time we have, to help our fellow humans understand the Emperor has no biofield.
Communication and networking methods for IOBNT. For some that doesn't exist, there seems to be a lot of people working on this. Design, modeling, and implementation of molecular communications, MC systems. I would also type in Ian F. Achilles, molecular communications, ITU. You can learn a lot about molecular communications and how it has converged, biodigital convergence, converged with telecommunications. Nanomaterial-based and synthetic biology-based transmitter and receiver architectures for MC, and that they would be talking about yeast and E. coli bacteria, using it for transmitting and receiving signals. Experimental MC testbeds and demonstrations, modeling of MC channels in different environments, example, airborne, liquid-borne MC, microfluidic MC, development of low complexity and energy efficient MC methods, modulation, detection, synchronization, channel coding, channel estimation, etc. Human body as an IOBNT infrastructure. An example, gut-brain axis, vagus nerve, bone conduction. Oh, Sabrina was right again. New communication modalities for IOBNT. Example, nanomechanical, electromagnetic, acoustic, magnetic, and quantum fret. Bio-cyber and nano-macro interfaces, proposal design and modeling of new interfacing methods, physical design and an experimental demonstration of optogenetic, redox-based, and electrical interfaces. Neural interfaces, proposal, modeling, and analysis of signal transduction methods, example, biochemical, electrical transduction with electrical biosensors and stimulators, responsive hydrogels. Stimulation responsive hydrogels, sorry. Implantable, wearable, and on-skin tattoo interfaces as IOBNT gateways. IOBNT applications, health applications of IOBNT, example, detection and medication of infectious diseases, intra-body continuous health monitoring, diagnostic systems, smart drug delivery, microfluidic lab on a chip, organ on a chip, smart agriculture, example, health monitoring and growth control of plants and cattle, biocomputing, ultra-dense data storage with DNA. Did you hear that? Biocomputing, ultra-dense data storage with DNA.
Hang on. Wireless drugging. Everyone went, no, that's not Braille. I'm like, here we are again. Wireless on-demand drug delivery systems exploit exogenous stimuli, acoustic waves, electric fields, magnetic fields, and electromagnetic radiation on the side. Everybody went, oh, that's like the dream of the military from like the 40s, or pardon me, whatever it was. They went ahead and did it. Yeah, I think they went to work and they're really good now with their dual-use system, which has intra-body access to the nervous system in exactly the way that he's telling you, and they can remote control your gut bacteria to play video games. When speaking with Professor Engelstein about making sure things were funny, when they say you can't make these things up and I'm sitting here and having to say them out loud, I'd use these lives sometimes as practice for the better video somewhere to be able to say it like it is. Ultra dense data storage with DNA, high rate data transfer with bacteria. And I said DNA, steganography, and everybody went, well, I don't understand. Okay. Steganography facilitates to conceal the confidential information within mediums like image, video, audio, DNA. I had to submit my DNA to like 23andMe just to figure out who I was, is, and maybe it might be. At the same time, using deep learning to detect using deep learning in 2022 to digitally detect digitally encoded DNA trigger for Trojan malware and bio-cyber attacks. This article uses deep learning technologies to safeguard DNA sequencing against bio-cyber attacks. We consider a hybrid attack scenario where the payload is encoded into a DNA sequence to activate the malware implanted in a software tool used in the sequencing pipeline. That's where they have all those things in between themselves, the database, and you, or whatever they're playing with, in order to allow the perpetrators to gain control over the resources used in that pipeline during sequence analysis. Networks are segmented, folks, so depending on where your segment gets narrowed down to, and then it continues to span tree splay from there. The scenario considered in the paper is based on the perpetrators submitting synthetically engineered DNA samples that contain digitally encoded IP address and port number of the perpetrator's machine in the DNA. Oh, see? Like I said, we'll just add to the DNA something entirely did not need to be there. This approach can open up to multiple perpetrators to create connections to hijack the DNA sequencing pipeline. Networks are segmented. You get into one access spot. Now you can go see what else you can see until you get from there to the next spot where you want to see what you need to see. The perpetrators can avoid detection by encoding the address to maximize similarity with genuine DNAs, which we showed previously. However, in this paper, we show how deep learning can be used to successfully detect and identify the trigger-encoded data in order to protect a DNA sequencing pipeline from Trojan attacks. Now, that's some pretty serious layers to cybersecurity. Genetic sequencing has become an essential tool for analyzing numerous DNAs that are used in the field of medicine, agriculture, as well as forensics. They're also very proud of themselves Numerous systems have been developed over the years to increase accuracy, such as throughput, shotgun sequencing technologies, vector-borne pathogens detection in the blood, food authentication, and food fraud detection, or even molecular data to be transported through artificial biological networks. Recent developments in sequencing technology have also been miniaturized to allow mobile sequencing, and one example is Minion. Didn't somebody on the channel the other day say, you know, with all their goggles and whatever, all I see is a bunch of minions everywhere? Well, they have to tell us how stupid they are? Excuse me. See what I mean? I am not fit for human consumption. Not today, Hillary. We have recently witnessed the importance of timely sequencing from oral samples, with all those PCR tests, which continue to apply pressure on the healthcare system. The clear benefits of expanded COVID-19 testing calls for the expansion of the existing testing, STEMI, approaches. The importance of sequencing can also be seen in detecting and tracking mutations and other types of infectious diseases, where examples include Lassa fever or other prevalent pathogens such as seasonal flu, bacterial infections with new strains. This is why they need the WBAN and the TikTok thing that just passed, etc., with your DigiTwin, because they'll just reach right inside of you, because that's how the system works with the WBAN Omnet Quick 2. Almost forgot. Omnet WBAN. Everybody goes, well, where's 10? Well, it's because this is the sensor kryptonite that they won't talk about. See, they log into this thing called a computer. You might have heard of it. The Yeti is positioned here on the right-hand side. What's going to happen is the cryptid Yeti over here called DOCTOR, all right, it's going to click a button with its big furry hand inside of its white jacket. And when it does, that message is going to go up there on the wireless. And then it's going to say heart signal pressure and blood flow. And then the signal is going to leave the human body by the electrical bus. And it's going to go through the wireless to that white-coated Yeti over there on the right. We could just watch all these systems all day. And then there's telemetry. And this is 8 years old. And we end up back here reading about their genetic sequencing for themselves, again with DNA steganography, because, as you can see here, hybrid Trojan biocyber hacking attack. Steps 1 through 3. 1, go to the hospital. 2, shotgun sequencing to figure out what's going on, right? Indicate a typical genetic sequencing operation for patients. Steps 4 through 6 indicate a situation where a hacker has embedded their IP and port number into a DNA that will trigger a remote connection from Trojan horse infected software tool, leading to a connection to the attacker. Our proposed approach utilizes deep learning to detect the Trojan payload in the digital DNA, use it encoded into DNA strands that can prevent the attack. And I'm sure that the hacking community, the reason we never saw them is because they've been using bodies to transit private data only amongst themselves for a while, I'm sure, because it's a lot easier. Less people to deal with as well. So anyways, that's why when I was reading you out the wireless body area network with the forensics and all the different stuff they do, that this dual-use system is actively also in use for people who are biohacking and exploring regenerative medicine and things that, if you use the right terminology like biomedical and life extension, then maybe they'll talk about it. Otherwise, they keep telling us they have no idea what bio-nano is or how we're using DNA with data storage, even though we can investigate the whole thing with cybersecurity down to certain types of events of Trojan software.
High rate data transfer with bacteria, that would be the yeast and E. coli, convert communication systems, food safety and equality monitoring, environmental applications, example monitoring and removal of toxic agents and pollutants. So security and privacy aspects of IOBNT, confidentiality, integrity, availability, authentication, artificial immune system, swarm security, DNA-inspired encryption techniques. So I've been telling people since I started researching this stuff, I still don't have the exact documents to prove it, but I know that ultimately CBDC isn't going to be their end goal. Their end goal is going to be DNA banking, biobanking. It's probably going to be by 2030, 2035 at the rate things are going. Oh. So that's what that is, DNA-inspired encryption techniques, and it's going to be using the blockchain. So,
well, I have to end the stream now because I got to save things so it doesn't get messed up, but uh-oh. I didn't mean to stumble into that, sir, but you're brilliant mind. Yeah, that's right. Because, yeah, I'm getting weird pinging noises all over now. Plasmid DNA, Bioshock people. You're all crazy. Pater noster quies in celi sanctificatur nomen tuum, adveniat regnum tuum, fiat voluntas tua sicut in cielo et in terra panem nostrum quotidianum da nobis hodie. Et dimite nobis debita nostra sicut et nos dimitimus debitoribus nostris, et ne nos inducas in tentationem, sed libera nos a malo, gratias Deo. Support one another out there, because like I keep repeating, because I don't want to load anything from my iPad where I'm like, it makes its own AI, it makes its own AI, it makes its own, it makes its own. You can't even access your own WBAN, and it makes its own. It makes its own. You got people out there that clearly don't know what the blockchain is doing, and if they ain't got a GUI for it, if they don't have an API route for it, what are they doing? Hey, what happened to Bob? I don't know. His phone got too close to his toe. Y'all, nerds, bing, paging nerds. I think you should tell people that you're busy writing code inside their DNA for fun. For like, what? Hacker Black Hat hackathons. How long have you been using humans as your personal little pet hard drives? Just to be dicks. Just to be mean. And selling it to other people. Didn't realize how dirty our little black-hatted community would be until the last couple days. Having to do further digging. I like cybersecurity. I loathe biology. I do declare, I do believe right there, that says 2014. Alright, so next time we gather together to talk about the DNA origami cryptography for secure communication via our quantum instruction and sequential recognition of input substrates and biocatalysts. So when we're hitting all the different buttons in the way that we're doing it nowadays. Tissue scaffolding and other things. Oh, I knew it! Biotin has been a great help for me personally when fighting off the tissue scaffolding. Oh, because they use everything biomimetically. I'm going to read this paragraph and then I'm signing off. Security protocol of DOC for message confidentiality. The whole process is composed of 3 layers: encryption of the message into a spot pattern as the outer layer, followed by a steganographic intermediate layer, and finally DNA origami encryption as the innermost layer, represented by 3 nested channels colored in gray, green, and pale green. Encryption of the message by Alice. Alice holds the DNA scaffold and can generate the M strands. At first, Alice encoded the plain text message, hey, letter by letter into binary numbers, and then encrypted the numbers for each letter in navy and their respective positions in the message in teal into a braille-like spot pattern. Afterward, Alice encrypted the patterns into a combination of scaffold strands carrying several M strands according to a defined DNA origami folding scheme. Pardon my nose. Decryption of the message by Bob. Bob holds streptavidin and can generate the staples. With the staples, Bob was able to fold the DNA origami, revealing bio-tiny-lated patterns on the M strands. Subsequently, Bob added streptavidin to make the pattern recognizable under the AFM. Finally, the plain text message was decrypted letter by letter into binary numbers and decoded. The fluorescent pattern under the storm. Algorithm. Scale bar, I'm pretty sure. 50 nanometers. Rail-like streptavidin patterns under the AFM. Scale bar, 50 nanometers. And for those of you, again, that get all angry with me and don't understand stuff, there are synergists out there that are working on breaking down certain concepts that you can work with them so that they can be helpful to folks where they're learning at. But I can't, excuse me, keep stopping, backing up, and then, I'm recalibrating what needs to get out there, in my opinion, so other people can, again, figure mitigation from any direction. And one of the things I've really been working on is stuff like this so that people understand how far along they are in cybersecurity in other places, literally playing around inside of humans. So, Google Fingers, happy fun time, biomolecular cryptography. And may you have a beautiful and blessed day out there, y'all. Hang on. Buddy came into our space Friday and told us to leave where we are if it's slated for biodigiconvergence. Yeah, the law enforcement and local systems are pretty freaked out. I found, I've gotten that from, in the United States at least, multiple states. So, I'm not quite sure what I'm doing with different things, folks. We're still testing a lot of how we're going to handle this going forward, so just please bear with the channel. Thank you for your patience. Please help people understand where you can. Mark 5:36, amen.